Welcome to the show, Sunny. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Great, let's get started. So, Sunny, as a woman in tech, can you share with us your career journey and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, sure. So I actually started really close to being out of high school. I worked full time and went to school full time. And I actually started in event event support and marketing. And it happened that there was a day that there was a down period where we didn't really have that many events. And I discovered I was bored. And so I started to look into some projects that I could potentially work on. And one of them was it turned out to be an internet marketing uh, project, but it was really defining technology and helping to turn it and translate it into something that was consumable and relatable to those who weren't in high tech. And what that turned into was a whole new job for me. And I would say it was the starting point of my career path. I did take a few years off, 11 years actually, to stay home with my kids. And when I re entered the workforce, I had the fortune of working at Cisco and was applied to the training program that's delivered for the sales engineers and for our partners. And the topic was IoT, which was really fresh at the time. And I had to be able to take all of these different types of concepts and industries and turn this training so that it was relevant based on what any kind of sales engineer or partner was focused on. So it was a really great opportunity for me to sit and listen and learn so much about IoT. I took advantage of that. I built relationships. I moved into an operations role so that I could get a better understanding of the business side. And then I moved to my current opportunity in Intel, where I helped to develop some partner programs. And now I'm focused on the ecosystem strategy. And I
That's,
absolutely love it.
that is amazing. I love that you've gotten different perspectives from different job roles to really get a full understanding of the technology industry. That's really fascinating. And I love that you were fortunate enough to stay home with your kids. That's unheard of now, but that's amazing. I'm sure your kids really appreciated it and it's going to reflect in their lives as they grow up.
It's very meaningful to me. It was a big sacrifice and it was scary, to be perfectly
Mhm.
honest. But
Mhm.
I can at least now look back and say it was worth the risk, and it's okay because you can make your way back.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting when you said taking concepts in IoT and then making it relevant because still today, even in the technology industry, there's so many technologies, but there's a big lack of that sales training so that everyday people can really understand that technology and make it relevant to their day-to-day lives. So I think that's a huge job and amazing that you did it because it was your passion and you were really good at it.
Thank you. It's been fun to learn about it as well. I think, as you know, all of the different industries. I mean, there's dozens of industries, there's thousands of use cases to
Mhm.
apply it to. But yet, what's fascinating is that at its core, if you take it at its most simple level, you can really see how it applies and can grow and can fit into all the different environments around us.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's so true. So share with our listeners what is IoT and how is it used in our daily lives, just so that they can get that perspective.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's great to start with what is IoT. It stands for Internet of Things. Let's make sure we're we're baselined
Mhm.
there. And IoT, honestly, it's all around you. So you could maybe take as an example the common home security system. You have to have these activity sensors and video cameras that are programmed to message through Wi Fi, through the internet. and connecting to a little miniature computer. And then that miniature computer receives the data, but then it's got to do something with that data.
Mhm.
That's where it's programmed to emit an alarm or some kind of pre-coded message advising you of the activity that might be going on in or around your home. You combine all of that together, and that's IoT. But as we talked about earlier, it's become a very critical feature in all kinds of different businesses. Think of healthcare and how doctors can maintain and manage patients from a remote distance. You have fast food chains who, when you're headed to a fast food restaurant and you're hitting your order on the digital menu and that's processing an order on the back end, you don't even have to talk to anyone and you magically get your order. That's
Mhm.
all IoT. And then even in the more complex settings where you've got a manufacturing environment or an agricultural environment, it's fascinating. Really, though, it boils down to connecting the sensors to provide insightful information that allows anyone to run a business more efficiently and to produce more accurately. I mean, that would be the essence of the benefit of the IoT solutions.
I think that's great. I think you hit it right. You hit the nail right on the head when you talked about the data that comes out of it that makes you make educated decisions as a business. And, when I first started my business 30 years ago, it was mostly my gut feeling and intuition and all of those things. And 10 years into it, that was all gone. I had to make decisions based on data. And so as you put data together and you start to look at this data, you can make educated decisions, which is so powerful in business.
Exactly. It's so powerful and is transformational in the industries across the globe.
Yeah, yeah. So I belong to many DEI groups, diversity, equity, and inclusion groups, and we always talk to them about unconscious biases and how we all have them, and it comes from our how we were raised, where we were raised, what our education is, all kinds of different things. You talk about self bias and how we set that against ourselves. Can you tell us more?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of times we might think about subconscious bias and how we might look at others, and we might put limitations on them because of how
Hmm.
we categorize them in our mind. What I found is I would actually end up doing that to my own self.
Mm.
So, for example, I would have these self-limiting thoughts, and they might be, well, I'm not really qualified to be in this meeting because everyone in here has a higher grade level than me, and are more experienced. Um, or my experience just isn't as good as others. Theirs is so much more interesting than mine. Or maybe, gee, that's a dumb question. I just don't even think I should ask it. It's not worth asking, not
Hmm.
worth putting myself out there. And finally, it's, well, I don't even really deserve that, whatever that might be for you.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it was fascinating to just kind of hear those thoughts and
Hmm.
become aware of them, right? And so I had to retrain that way of thinking. I think a lot of it comes from fear, where you put limits on yourself because either you're afraid of success and being able to fulfill that success, or you're afraid of failing or being rejected. And so you've got to try to put that aside, pay attention to your emotions and get to the source of that so that you can process and then move forward, because you don't want to be limited by fear. You don't want to set your own ceiling. Don't put the parameters on that no one else has put.
Hmm.
um, and let yourself dream bigger and achieve more, and break your own ceiling, for example. And
Hmm.
then finally, got to ask yourself why and why not. Because
Hmm.
sometimes if you say, well, I don't think I should do that. Well, why not? And
Hmm.
it's been fascinating when I've asked myself that. I go, wait a second, actually, I can do that. There's nothing
Hmm.
wrong with it. And that's when you open up opportunities and you open yourself up to building new relationships and getting new experience. And that's where the growth comes in, both personally and in your career.
I love that. those self-limiting thoughts, I call them negative Nancy's
Yes.
in my head, right? And we women do that more than anybody else. I think women are
Yes.
always putting ourselves down. We're our own worst enemy. It's a lot of times because we're limiting ourselves when it's really not a limit by anybody else or any other position. They say it
Exactly.
with the job, you look at job description and a woman looks at it and says, "Oh, I'm 60% qualified. I don't think I should apply for this." Whereas a man will look at it and say, "Yes, I can do this. I'm only 60% qualified, but I can learn
Yeah,
learn the
exactly.
rest."
Exactly.
So, yeah, so really good about saying why or why not. And if you challenge yourself, you'll find out that you can do it. We have so much power to really do so much, but sometimes we're limiting ourselves.
Exactly. It's a powerful um, potential that you're closing, and there's no need for that. So have
Yeah, I
more
love that.
confidence.
Yeah, I love that you did the introspecting of yourself and asking the why and why not. And it really shows you, wow, I could do this.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. All right. So, as a woman in a male dominated industry, our voice needs to be heard. Can you share with us ways to strengthen our voice?
So it's interesting. I've recently had just kind of my own personal revelation, right? As we grow in our careers, we're constantly trying to improve. I know I am. And one of the things that I started to realize is I've been showing up more as a guest to meetings
Mm,
um, than as a shared stakeholder in a conversation.
mm,
And it didn't, no matter the meeting or the conversation, I've got to stop doing that. There's no reason for me to be a passive guest anywhere. I continue to have to remind myself, and I think everyone can do this. You're being invited into that room or that meeting or that conversation because you're an expert with your own critical, diverse perspective. And that is so incredibly valuable. So being able to just show up with that mindset and then speak with confidence, ask questions. In fact, challenge yourself to ask at least two questions in every meeting that you attend. That's when you're going to start to stand out and
mhm.
gain more confidence as well. And that confidence, that presence that you bring is going to be very attractive and will draw people to you to look to you as that expert.
So, do you think we should prepare, do a lot of research on the topic before we go to the meeting so that we can come with educated questions and very pointed questions rather than generalize them?
I actually think it's more about the active listening. When
Mm,
you're hearing others do their presentation, start to look for the gaps in it. Start to think about maybe asking the question, hey, have you thought about this perspective? Because in my experience, and then go ahead and share your experience. That's when you're able to show up and make a difference.
mhm,
And being able to ask those questions, that is in the moment. Um, me personally, I'm definitely an over preparer because that
mhm,
helps me to feel a bit more confident.
mhm.
I don't know that that's necessarily needed for everyone, to be perfectly honest. I do hear just more when I've seen other females, especially that have been active listening and proposing challenging questions. It's always heard more clearly. So being engaged in the moment is really critical.
Yeah, I think to be present is very, very important. And that's, one of the things I work on all the time is to be present in the moment because it's so easy to get distracted and do so many things, that come to your mind. And being present really gives you that ability to ask the right questions, looking for gaps, sharing experiences, all of those things. So really good advice. So I know you are passionate about servant leadership, and I am too. So tell us more about that.
So uh, I'm a people pleaser in general, right? I
Hmm.
really, really genuinely want those who I work with or those who I engage with for any reason to walk away either happier or more confident. Um, and so in general, like I really try to figure out a way to make someone's life better in that moment, even no
Mm-hmm.
matter how small.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've had some pretty amazing leaders in my journey, my career journey, who have been door openers for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be able to extend that to others as well. It's
Mm-hmm.
really valuable to not only focus on your own career growth and goals, but to see how you can lead and open up opportunities for others. I do follow Simon Sinek
Mm-hmm.
a lot, and he's got amazing quotes. If you ever follow
I
him on
love
LinkedIn or
Sunnie Weber.
something, he's
Love
great.
him.
And he said, like, one of my favorites though is a leader's job is not to do the work for others, it's to help others figure out how to do it themselves,
Mm-hmm.
to get things done, and then to succeed beyond what they thought possible. And that end part right there, that is super powerful to me. My leadership has helped me to see that I can achieve beyond what I thought possible. And I want others to experience that success too.
So how do you give back? I mean, if people were opening doors for you, do you look for ways to give back? Because that's what I'm doing now, is always looking for ways to give back, because I'm very passionate about women in technology. I try to find women and give them the confidence they need to pursue a career in a very lucrative field. How do you give back? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, so a lot of it is it's part of that active listening
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
conversation as well. So if I'm picking up, I'm listening to these people who are sharing their ideas or sharing with me their projects, and then I'm in another meeting where I'm hearing, hey, we've got this need or this gap, or we've started some work here, but maybe we need to do more. I look for those kind of opportunities to connect the dots, connect the people, and
Mm-hmm.
connect their passions to opportunities. So if I'm able to share up a lot of names and give thanks to all these people that I'm hearing are doing great things, to me, that's the best way that I can uh, give them the visibility and the open door opportunities potentially.
That's awesome, though. You become their champions almost, and when they're not even there, you are, lifting them up, which is really great.
Exactly, it's really powerful, and
Hmm.
it's a great way to network. But more importantly, they're truthfully all the people around me, they're amazing and they're doing
Hmm.
amazing things. So
Hmm.
let them shine, and the work that they're doing shine.
And it's fulfilling for you as well, because I remember every time I give to somebody, I feel better than them sometimes,
Yeah, exactly. It's true.
Yeah. So Sunny, who inspires you and why?
So my kids are my
Oh,
inspiration for
that's neat.
everything.
Yep.
Um,
Hmm.
they're older, right? Two of them are adults and one's a teen.
Hmm.
But even still, I see their curiosity. I see that discovery of who they are and what they stand for, like their core beliefs.
Hmm.
I observe my daughter and how she's like declares what she wants and then she goes after it. And she's not afraid to ask deep questions. She digs into
Awesome.
research to educate herself, and bolster her ability to have engaging conversations. In a way, everything I do is for my kids,
Hmm.
so they're not only my inspiration, but um, they help me become better because I want them to see what great looks like, if that
No,
makes sense.
right. But you're such a good role model for them as well. It comes from you, but that's amazing when they can show that success and you can see it. It's a big reflection on you. So congratulations. Kudos to you for doing such a good job when you watch your daughter, just really shine.
Thank you. That's very meaningful to hear you say
It's
that
true.
too.
No, it's very true. So that's great. I love that. And my kids inspire me too because I learn from them every day. As adults, they have become people that are really good humans, and that's what I really have always prayed for, to have good humans. I don't care
Yes,
who you
yes.
marry. I don't care, if you have kids, don't have kids, any of that, but they have turned out to be really good humans. And the my grandchildren are just, unbelievable. So
I
I'm
love
just
that.
always in awe. Yeah. And count my blessings because, it is such a privilege to have them. So that's great.
It is. Oh, that's so encouraging to hear.
Yeah. So I love to travel, and we were just talking about Hawaii. What is your most favorite place that you've traveled to and why? And this is kind of, a selfish question because I can take notes and then I can add it to my list.
I love that. Well, as far as I have trouble picking favorites, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Just recently having gone to Hawaii for the first time, it was amazing.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as like tried and true, my family has very consistently gone to the mountains in the Sierra Nevadas or Mammoth, and those have been
Hmm.
the most peaceful, serene, and restorative times for me, and just
Hmm.
such a fantastic time to connect with the kids and have the no technology.
Hmm.
Um, so it's just a beautiful, special place in my heart. But then again, okay, so when I was a kid, I did have the luxury of visiting. I actually have family in the Azores, which most people haven't heard of the
I
Azores,
haven't
right?
either. Yeah.
They're these islands that are about 1,000 miles off the coast of Portugal. They're part of
Mm.
Portugal, and I got to spend 6 weeks. So truly living in that
Mm.
culture, and it was still some of the most special memories that I have. Where I helped out in my aunt and uncle's restaurant, and um, went in boats on the ocean and swam in the natural pools. Just a really remarkable place. I would put that on your list for sure.
I am going to, and Portugal is on my list anyway. And I'm thinking maybe next year Portugal is going to be where we go. But now I've got to add this to my list.
For sure.
Now, how do you get there from Portugal?
It's you can actually fly direct either from New York
Oh,
or from
okay.
Portugal. They have
Okay.
an international. One of the islands has the
Okay.
international, and then you can hop over on a hopper plane or
Right.
on a boat. So
Okay. I will be reaching out to you when I get closer and
sounds good.
ask for more things to know and learn. But that's the beauty of technology too, with the internet. I mean, I do so much research before we go anywhere, and down to, the reviews on restaurants and everything, and really, really love doing that. So it's fun.
Absolutely.
So this has been so much fun, Sunny. We could talk forever, I think. But in closing, what advice would you give a woman in technology who might be considering a career in technology?
So I really like acronyms. So I
Mhm.
chose the acronym DARE for kind of a way to live by, especially in my career. And so as I would share that, so DARE, right? D, dream big, and then dream bigger. Wherever you are, um, work for where you want to be in your career. So
I
that would
love
be
that.
first.
I
um,
love that.
and
Oh
it's
my
it's a
gosh.
it's a fascinating exercise when you like write down some goals and then you say, okay, we'll make it bigger. You're like, whoa,
Yeah.
and then
And
you
then
can
you
achieve
then you
it.
get nervous,
Yeah,
but
it's
then you can
great.
dream bigger. Yep. I love
Yes.
that.
So for remain agile, because in both your projects and your goals, things are going to change, and you've got to be flexible enough to change with them and grow with them. So you want to be able to take advantage of opportunities that come to you. Um, R is return the favor. Show your interest in those around you and find out how you can help them. And then always be ready to pay it forward and think about how you can show up for others. And
I
then
love that.
last is E, educate yourself constantly, and about things that you may not think that you can do. Having a comprehensive understanding of how the tech you're involved in is consumed really helps you to become more diverse. It helps you to think more holistically. And then you can figure out how that supports your personal why you get up and do what you do every day. Um, and then the last thing would be, a peer of mine, Kim Carlton, shared a really great quote not too long ago. She said, "You should always be a little more excited than afraid." And I
Mm,
love that message because it's like, don't let fear hold you back. And by the way, if there's no fear, then maybe you should be challenging yourself a little more.
right, right. Because comfort is not the sign of growth, when you're
Exactly.
uncomfortable, that's when you're growing. So I completely agree, and I love that. Always be more excited than afraid. I think that's a really good motto, because fear captures so many people, and sometimes you don't realize what's holding you back, but a lot of times it's fear.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, so I love that. Dare, dream big, be agile, return the favor, pay it forward, and then educate constantly. I always say educate to elevate.
Yes, yes.
So,
I love
yeah.
that.
So that's great. Oh my gosh, this is so fun. So, in closing, again, can you share with our listeners where they can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. You can definitely look me up on LinkedIn. It's Sunnie Weber, and Sunnie is spelled Sunnie. And also, email is sunny.weber@intel.com.
Awesome. Well, Sunny, it was a true pleasure and an honor to have you on the show. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Jen, for having me. This was a really awesome experience and really appreciate what you're doing to help pave the way for the future.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Tech in the Right Direction. Please take a minute to subscribe or follow so that you never miss an episode. Also, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you. See you next week.
From IT skill enhancements to end user adoption training, Directions Training is your resource to help optimize the effectiveness of your technology investments. Over 500,000 students have taken advantage of our wide selection of technology and business training solutions, covering the most popular applications today, such as Microsoft 365, Azure, Windows 10, and more. As a podcast listener, we invite you to take advantage of an exclusive offer. Receive 30 days of free access to our Microsoft official curriculum on-demand courses for IT professionals or end users. Visit us at www.directionstraining.com/podcast to claim this offer today. Hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time. Success is a journey. Ask for directions.